Okay, you ready? Cool. So we are Health Education Rights Vermont, or HOR Vermont. Yeah, we're good. We're going to introduce ourselves quickly. So we are 5 juniors from U32 High School, and our mentor, Kayla. Invite you all up. Here. I'll start. I'm Una Lieberman. I am the treasurer and do general coordination.
I'm Kayla Becker. I'm the mentor and general coordinator.
I'm Mayla Landis-Marinello. I worked on communications and development.
I'm Leila McCann, and I also worked on communications and media.
I'm Ella Thomas. I worked on art and design.
I'm Annalise Eckhaus. I'm an artist, and I worked on media.
Thank you. So HOR Vermont is an organization with the goal of spreading awareness and creating cultural change surrounding reproductive justice. It is our overarching goal to unite people, spread awareness about issues both past and present, and share knowledge that is hidden in the mainstream media. Overall, we hope to fuel each person on their journey towards better health care and wellness and happiness. We have many people to thank in this process. We would like to thank everyone who has supported us, and especially our donors. We could not have done this without you. A special thanks to Mosaic Vermont and our generous donors, Janice Andrus and Susan Ritz. We are going to do a quick land acknowledgement. So we would like to honor Indigenous peoples who have stewarded this land we call home. We now call the state of Vermont for time immemorial. We appreciate the wisdom they have passed down for generations to maintain resilient and abundant culture and ecological systems. We also must acknowledge those who cannot be here with us today. Mama Bear Louise Wagela Hearn has been incredibly valuable to our process, but is unable to be here to speak. We instead have Mother Janelle Garanahawi Spove from the Mohawk Nation, who will give an amazing speech in her stead. We also would like to recognize Abenaki elder, poet, and muralist Abina Songbird, who had planned to speak but is unable to. However, Abina did write a statement that Mayla is going to read.
As a mural artist, I was so honored to be asked to say a few words at this very important event. Ironically, I was diagnosed about a week ago with endometrial cancer and am soon facing surgery, a complete hysterectomy. Thankfully, I was able to find out it was an early stage cancer by getting a biopsy when I had post-moon menopausal bleeding. Interestingly enough, the gynecological oncologist, my surgeon, had me sign a paper, she explained, to atone to Vermont's history of eugenics or forced sterilization of poor women and Native women. They wanted me to clearly realize the surgery would leave me sterile. Of course, at 67, this was my choice. But at least in Vermont, this is now standard of care for some cancers, and they have the paperwork for permission and clearly explain the options. I wish to commend the young women who are responsible for this powerful art. Through their strong, vibrant mural, they send a brave voice in politically harsh times for women. Their call for personal choice and reproductive justice goes beyond racism, poverty, the forced sterilizations, eugenic systems, genital mutilation, the missing and murdered Indigenous and Black women, beyond cultural biases, beyond the vitriolic actions of governments, states, and men. Their art reflects the strength and power of all women who have a voice for the very call of Mother Earth, to not be controlled by others, but embrace and allow choice and sovereignty. I am proud of these 5 high school girls with Kayla Becker and their organization, HOR Vermont partnered with HOR Ghana, for educating themselves and with their gifts of art and voice, educating the wider community, their peers, and outside world. May this peace travel far and wide, helping us push for reproductive justice and choice for all women when it comes to their own bodies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mela. We have a quick note about language in this presentation. We recognize that in recent history, language around gender has shifted and will continue to evolve. As an organization, we strive to be welcoming to everyone. We sometimes use the term women when speaking about people affected by reproductive injustices as a way to recognize how our misogynistic society has led to reproductive injustices, often affecting those who identify as women. We use this language as well as more inclusive language such as those born with uterus and female-bodied to refer to all those who have been affected by reproductive injustices, including trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gender expansive people, and those born with a uterus. And we welcome your feedback on our language. Now Kayla is going to speak more about our journey.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for coming to our historic Reproductive Justice Memorial Mural opening. Thank you. It's great that you're here. We thank our distinguished speakers for coming from far and wide, and the weather for being on our side. And we thank you for being here to share your wisdom and your experiences and your advice. We need that now. We thank the Hub. Kiana and Sierra are doing an amazing job renovating this former library into a magnificent performance center and future cafe. Thank you to the parents and families of our team. You have been so supportive and patient. Thank you. We are here to learn about a hidden history, memorialize the women affected, and move forward with anticipation for a better future. We first honor the memories of our ancestors, especially the women from our past. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and the tens of thousands of women who've been forgotten. As we remember the women of our past, we celebrate our potential to work toward what is fair and honorable for all people of all genders. I'd like to backtrack to where this project began. While I was doing some research on the origins of sex education in the United States, I came across Scott W. Stern's book, The Trials of Nina McCall, Sex, Surveillance, and the Decades-Long Government Plan to Imprison Promiscuous Women. Scott's book is the only extensive and complete recollection of what happened to women under the American Plan of 1918. Learning of this hidden and horrific history inspired the wish to honor these women. And the teenagers before you have done just that. I've had the great privilege of being a mentor to these 5 students for a year and a half now. First as a health teacher within the independent learning program called the Pilot Program at U32 High School. Our health class became a reproductive justice class the following semester, and then evolved into the latest class, the Reproductive Justice Mural Opening Ceremony. As a group, we've had the honor of visiting Akwesasne Mohawk Nation and learning about mother law and rematriation and land justice futures. We are so grateful to be partnered with Health Education Rights Ghana, HER Ghana, with a focus on sustainable menstrual products for girls and women throughout the country. I remember the day when I introduced HER Ghana to the students, Health Education Rights. They took note, and it just fit. And HER Vermont was born. Working as a collective through consensus, we became a dream team. We've been working together to construct and manifest everything you see before you today. The leadership these students have shown over these many months is spectacular. Their commitment to reproductive justice and rights is inspiring. I'm continually amazed by all they have to offer the world. I would like to acknowledge our logistics team, Una, Leela, and Mela, who have created this event with the extraordinary ability to get things done. You worked so hard and with such diligence and professionalism. Amazing. And I would like to acknowledge our two artists, Ella and Annalise, who, as you will see, created a representation of our studies, the story of the women from the American Plan, destigmatizing the female body and showing healing and hope for our future. You have amazing endurance and skill as artists. It was a joy watching this mural evolve. All of you have devoted hundreds of hours to this project. You are spectacular. Our youth is our promise, our lifeline, our future. In these times, we need each other. We need to learn from one another and share our experiences, our knowledge, and our dreams. I encourage all of you to reach out, offer your time, and feed the teens your wisdom, food, and joy. Without further ado, we have the great privilege of hearing directly from Scott Stern on video. Scott is an American scholar and currently an associate attorney at Earth Justice. The Trials of Nina McCall, based on Scott's book, is being adapted into a
Scott W. Stern, the author of the Trials. I'm Scott W. Stern, the author of the Trials of Nina McCall: Sex, Surveillance, and the Decades-Long Government Plan to.
Okay, back. Not yet, Scott. Almost. I just want to say that The Trials of Nina McCall, based on Scott's book, is being adapted into a film by Academy Award producer Kathy Schulman. We believe Scott is on live stream, and we want to thank you for your important, courageous work and how it has brought to life that which deserves the truth. Thank you.
I'm Scott W. Stern, the author of the Trials of Nina McCall: Sex, Surveillance, and the Decades-Long Government Plan to Imprison, quote, promiscuous women. And it is an honor to add a few words to the remarkable art and activism of her Vermont. I was asked to send this video because my book provides a history of the American Plan, a largely forgotten U.S. government program under which women suspected of promiscuity or of having sexually transmitted infections were incarcerated without due process in what some women called concentration camps. The American Plan lasted from the 1910s into the 1950s, and in some places into the 1960s and 1970s. Tens of thousands of women, probably over 100,000 women, were incarcerated under the American Plan, and the laws that enabled the plan remain on the books to this day. Many women incarcerated under the plan were beaten, starved, eugenically sterilized, forced to undergo painful and ineffective medical treatments such as injections of mercury and arsenic-based drugs, and subjected to lectures about how to be, quote, a proper young woman. I began the research for this book about 15 years ago when I was still a teenager, a freshman in college. The work of young people like the founders of Her Vermont is absolutely integral to bringing histories like that of the American Plan to light. First and foremost, young people lack the biases or the resignation that leads so many of us to accept the world in all of its unfairness. Young people also have the energy, the time, and the drive to fight for justice. My own work in this area has been largely academic. I spent almost a decade of my life traveling to archives in places like Topeka, Kansas, Portland, Oregon, New York, Richmond, London, and many places in between. I had activists or archivists send me materials from other places, including Wyoming, Texas, the Carolinas, Washington. The American Plan was, by design, decentralized. Many women locked up under the plan had no idea that thousands of others were similarly suffering across the United States. The American Plan was largely enforced by local administrators, exclusively so for much of its history. So revealing the plan in all of its cruelty entailed bringing together far-flung archival documents. The history of the American plan matters now because the plan reflects a philosophy and an attitude toward women, immigrants, and poor people of all races and genders, an attitude that still persists today. Under the plan, prominent people were empowered to lock up those whom they deemed, quote, less than, to try to forcibly reform them and cure them. The American plan provides a genealogy for systematic sexual violence and the widespread denial of reproductive freedom today. The American plan literally laid the groundwork for the mass incarceration of women, and many contemporary prisons and jails were first constructed a century ago to house women under the plan. But the history of the American plan also gestures at the constancy of resistance. Women locked up under the plan routinely escaped, sued their captors, assaulted their captors, and burned their sites of incarceration to the ground. In my research, I learned the history of a woman who went on a hunger strike to try to win freedom from an American plan institution. I learned about a woman who leapt from a moving train rather than return to an American plan institution. I learned about a woman who leapt from a window to her death rather than remain in an American plan institution. After decades of continuous resistance, these acts finally bore fruit in the 1960s and 1970s, and women forced many plan institutions to close. I commend the founders of Vermont for the remarkable act of artistic resistance. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read a little bit from the introduction of Scott's book. This is what it looks like. You can see it up there, too. And we'll have it in the back during intermission for anybody to look at if you would like to. This is part of the introduction, and this part centers around Nina McCall herself and her mother, Minnie, and the Dr. Carney. Dr. Carney announced, "I find this girl slightly diseased." Nina had been infected with gonorrhea, Carney claimed, for about 2 years since she was 16 years old. Again, Nina and her mother objected. Nina stated that it just could not be possibly true. Minnie started with more restraint. "You don't need to tell me that she has a bad disorder?" she asked. Carney replied, "I didn't say so. I said she was slightly diseased." Minnie told the health officer that she did her daughter's washings and had found no evidence of a sexually transmitted infection. Carney repeated his line about Nina being slightly diseased. Nina insisted she had never been with a man. Carney said he wasn't accusing her of having been with a man, just of being slightly diseased. "If Minnie's recollection is to be believed," he added with stunning inaccuracy, "there were other ways to get it." When Nina continued to tearfully insist that she had no such infection, Carney turned on her and thundered, with all of the authority of his position and his gender, "Young lady, do you mean to call me a liar?" "Yes, sir," Nina shot back, if you say I am diseased." But it was no use. Nina would have to get treated, the health officer told her, and in order to do that, she would have to be locked away somewhere. Minnie asked Carney where that would be, and he responded, the Bay City Detention Hospital. Neither mother nor daughter had ever heard of it. Minnie asked if she couldn't just take her daughter home and have her doctored from there. Carney replied that the expense would be too great for a single mother, perhaps $200. Minnie told Carney that she would do most anything to keep the child with me. Nina said that she could get a job to help pay for the treatments, but Carney said this wasn't an option. Either Nina would go to Bay City or he would be forced to put up a placard outside the McCall residence. "Venereal disease," the placard would read in all capital letters. "No person shall enter or leave this house until this card is officially removed. The removing or defacing of this notice without written authority from the Board of Health is punishable by fine or imprisonment by order of the Board of Health." The placard would be large and red. Carney told Nina and her mother that everyone would surely see it and that he would personally see to it that the text was readable and noticeable. Nina and Minnie both knew they couldn't have the placard placed outside their home. This was a time when few newspapers would even print the words venereal disease. Both mother and daughter writhed at the thought of such a disgrace being brought literally to their doorstep. Nina knew she wasn't infected, but the shame was worse than the lie. She asked Carney what Bay City was. He told her that it was a detention hospital. Nina had never heard of such a thing. I supposed it would be like a hospital like other hospitals, she remembered later. And now I'm going to pass it over to Kayla to talk a little more about reproductive justice.
Imagine what it might have been like for Nina and all the others. And how would they feel if they could have known that 100 years later, we are here today, giving tribute to their lives. I want to define the term reproductive justice for you. First of all, we want to thank Kamosha Murphy from Chicago, who taught one of our classes and informed us about the origins of the term reproductive justice. In 1994, a group of women of African descent in Chicago coined the term reproductive justice. In 1997, a group of 16 women of color-led organizations formed the grassroots group Sister Song. Frustrated by the limitations of the pro-choice movement, as those of minorities have limited reproductive choices, Sister Song defined reproductive justice as the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. The need for such a movement arises from our recent climate today, our political climate, threatening the body autonomy of female-bodied people, but also from our country's atrocious yet unknown history of treating women poorly. So we begin with the Comstock Law of 1873. Congresswoman Becca Balint will address this law in her speech later. Head of the Suppression of Vice organization, in 1870, Anthony Comstock became a congressional lobbyist, and the Comstock Law was enforced from 1873 until 1965 and repealed in 1971. It was a crime to distribute or sell information about contraception, sexuality, and abortion. It was a crime to send information or materials through the federal mail system or import them from abroad, punishable by imprisonment and steep fines. According to the author Amy Sonn, Comstock dealt a near-century-long blow to women's health. He saw himself as the guardian of women. And what follows is a profound contradiction in laws. Take it away, Leela.
All right, so I'm going to speak to what Scott just spoke to and give a little more background about the American Plan, which was from 1918 to 1960. So during World War I, a lot of soldiers came back from abroad with sexually transmitted infections, STIs. At the time, this was often called venereal disease, or VD, so you'll hear us using that. And the U.S. government saw the need for sexual education, so they created the Chamberlain-Conn Act of 1918 that mandated sexual education, which is interesting because it conflicted with the Comstock Law, which said the opposite, but they were the thing at the same time. But an aspect of the Chamberlain-Conn Act gave the police the power to arrest anyone they thought might have an STI and allowed them to place the victim in an incarceration hospital to be treated. This was 99% women. Two other things going on at the time that helped the American Plan do its thing was people trying to regulate prostitution and segregate prostitutes from other people and abolish prostitution as a thing, and also the eugenics ideology, which pushed the concept of, quote, racial perfection and mass sterilized people of color, immigrants, impoverished people, and people with disabilities Now I'm going to pass it to Mela.
I'm going to speak a little more about the Chamberlain-Cahn Act. It was created in 1918, allowing the government to quarantine, examine, and incarcerate any person they suspected of transmitting venereal disease. Many of the women incarcerated did not actually have sexually transmitted infections. It was also the first law mandating sexual education in public schools in the U.S., and the direct contradiction to the Comstock Law. A woman could be arrested from anything from eating alone, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even because they refused to have sex with the police officers. If a doctor decided they were sick, they would be sent to detention hospitals, where they were kept for many months and treated with poisons like mercury and arsenic. Up to 100,000 women were treated in the hospitals. This history has been hidden for a century. It is past time to acknowledge the atrocities committed by the U.S. government and memorialize all the people whose lives and real experiences our government has tried to suppress for so long. I'm going to hand it back over to Leela to talk a little bit more about how Black, Indigenous, and people of color were directly affected by these laws.
Okay, a little bit more from me. Women of color, especially Black women, were largely targeted by police as candidates for the incarceration hospitals, which was also amplified by the eugenics ideology. And part of eugenics and also part of the American plan, IQ tests are performed to decide if someone was worthy of having children. Black, Indigenous, and immigrant women who refused had sterilization and hospital treatment forms signed without their consent, or were threatened with loss of welfare benefits and child custody if they didn't sign. As well, the Bureau of Indian Affairs used the reservation system to track the reproductive lives of Indigenous women even more closely. And now I'm going to pass it to Ani, talk about the mural.
As we studied this history, we realized that it was too big to leave in historical documents and academic papers, because reproductive justice affects everyone here in one way or another. The Mural Project was our own take on this history, and we created it to memorialize these women and educate people today. War memorials put history in our face and make it impossible to ignore, and we wish to do something similar. Art is both a powerful form of activism as well as an integral way to represent history. It inspires thought and reflection, which at this time is especially important. We also wanted to use the mural as a way to more broadly empower, destigmatize, and celebrate the female body and identity for the past and for our world today. We hope that you will recognize this history and sow the seeds of hope and action in your own lives and communities. Now we will unveil the mural and have 1 minute of silence to reflect on the piece and to honor the thousands of women who were affected by these events.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm going to pass it back over to Ella to talk more about the mural process.
First, we'd like to share our ideas of the elements, because we put a lot of thought into some of the elements you're seeing here, so we'd like to share some of the ideas behind them. The waves represent struggle and oppression, but also reflection and water's connection to the moon. The chains represent oppression and restriction, but become flowers to show the hard work of women to liberate on the process of liberating themselves. The flowers and herbs also represent the feminine and the female body, as well as ideas of hope, growth, and healing. The posture of the figure is strong, yet burdened by a history of oppression and abuse. She is holding up the uterus and everything that comes with being a person born with a uterus or identifying as a woman.
The triple moons represent the maiden, mother, and crone, as well as the moon's connection to the menstrual cycle and women. The uterus is a highly stigmatized part of the body, but despite this, it is something powerful that should be honored. The memorial names represent remembrance and are the names of real people in incarceration hospitals, as well as names to represent people lost to history.
I'm going to talk a little bit about our process painting this mural. So the idea was born last spring as an artistic representation of reproductive justice. We discussed general imagery as a group, like some of the elements we talked about and what meanings we wanted to share. And then we began sketching and sharing the sketches with the community and getting feedback and redesigning. It began as a little idea, maybe a painting on the wall of our high school, and then somehow it grew into a 9 by 12 foot mural with an organization to go with it. We started painting in the fall in early November, and while Ani and I both have experience painting murals and creating art, this was by far the most ambitious project either of us had worked on. We began by transferring our sketch onto a canvas with a grid and then created an underpainting in red before adding color. We had some challenges, of course. Mixing the right shades was very difficult on such a big piece. We also never had a permanent place to work, so you can imagine Ani and I every few days rolling up the mural and toting it through our high school. It was definitely discouraging at points. Creating something this large is hard, but we were also remembering that we were creating this artwork for hundreds of thousands of women. We have estimated that we've both put about 75 to 100 hours of work into the painting. We've been also asked about how it was to collaborate on this big of a piece, so I'd like to touch on that. We did divide up some aspects of the painting. For instance, Ani did the moons and I did the mountains. She did the hands and ovaries. I did the uterus and the body. But there were also aspects that we both worked on. For instance, Ani worked on the face, but I helped as well. And we both knew that if we were ever feeling stuck, we could ask the other to help us. I think the whole process as a whole went incredibly well, and it was amazing to be able to support and inspire each other throughout this entire process. And we truly hope this mural honors and empowers both the people who were affected in the past and everyone living as a woman or a person born with a uterus in our world today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are going to hear from author and Vermont's first and only female governor, Madeleine Kunin. So welcome.
Wow. That mural is fantastic. And to see all the painters right here and the 5 women who created the environment for the production of a mural, I think it's a most original and terrific founding of an organization. I can't think of anybody else who painted a mural and then decided to found reproductive justice. I mean, congratulations once more. So you've been in existence over a year, right? Well, you bring a ray of hope to all of us who are sitting here. Your parents, your friends, your members. This room is packed with optimism somehow in a very pessimistic time. We're sorry to leave you with this world because you're going to have to cope with it. But judging from how you've spoken and what you represent, you're ready to become not passive mourners of how hard these times are, but active agents of change. And so we applaud your activism, we applaud your caring about history, about the past, and caring to shape the future. I've chosen politics in my life to have an impact, but there are other ways to have an impact too. One is through art, and one is through local action. But I think you learned something from your mentor that if you want to make change, if you're upset about something, if you're upset about the way the world is going, you have to organize. You can't just do it by yourself. And you're organizing through her. And in numbers, you have power. And judging by this full building room, you have extended your own personal power far beyond your own bodies and minds. And this is this is a depressing time. I hate to say it, but it's true. But reactions are springing up. About three nights ago, I spoke to a group called Franklin County Women for Democracy. And they're a new organization. And Franklin County is not very democratic. Used to be, but not now. But they got 176 members to join up. So things are percolating. We don't have to take it sitting down and being passive. And the fact that you young people are organizing is so just plain terrific. So, often youth are not listened to. We think you're not old enough to vote. We think you're not old enough to speak. But we have to listen to you and pay attention. And the fact that you took reproductive freedom as your main issue is significant. And this organization is important. I have to confess, I'd never heard of it till I was asked to speak. Here I am. But I'm excited to be here. and to hear the 5 young women and mentors speak, and to see this terrific audience coming out to see the mural and hear everybody speak. I mean, you can live your life in different ways. You can be silent. You can get angry about something, but stay home, stay in your room, fold your hands together, and just be passive. Or you can get out there in the world and decide to do something. And I have sort of 3 stages. One, you have to be angry about something. It can be no sidewalks on your street, which is my experience. I worried about my children going to school in the street, and I actually didn't get the sidewalk at that point, but there is a sidewalk now, and somebody picked up where I left off. And the anger turns into imagination. You have to imagine a different reality. And then the third point, anger, imagination, and then action, where you believe that the system will work if you put your energy into it. And that's what this organization is doing. And it's a beautiful, and this audience shows that you have the support of your families, of your community, and your school, which is also a huge advantage, that you're not just going off in left field doing what you damn please or think is appropriate. You're reflecting your community to a large degree, maybe not everyone, but certainly enough people to give you courage. And I will mention an organization which I founded 25 years ago called Emerge Vermont. It recruits and trains Democratic women to run for office. That may not be your choice, or it may be your choice at some point in your life, but it teaches you things like public speaking, which the 5 of you have already mastered, and organizing, and basic leadership skills, which would be useful. So at some point you can look it up online, Emerge, E-M-E-R-G-E, and about 80% of the women who went to Emerge got elected to the legislature. So there's some practical results from participating in Emerge. But I think you grabbed onto an important quality, and that is it is better to live your life engaged in your community or the world than to watch it go by and sit at home with your laptop or iPhone or whatever gadget captivates you. Be engaged in the world. It's much more interesting, and it's much more fun. I mean, I have a new experience in being here. I could have stayed home. But you've given me a rich experience, And I thank you for that. And I wish you so much joy and success in the future.
Would you like to do questions? Would you like to do questions? Okay, cool. Do you want to stay up here? We're going to do some quick questions for Governor Coonan. So I can't see too well, but I will bring the mic to you if you have a question, and she will answer it. Yeah, or try her best. Yeah.
I can't see anything.
It's okay. I can't really either.
I'm just curious what your experience of the student body that was aware of your work, especially young women, of course, and what was the reaction and how receptive were they, and did you feel like you really influenced your core community?
Well, I have 4 children. So my awareness was pretty direct. But they are all adults now. I think the student body, my big disappointment was they were not well informed about government and politics. They got a little excited when they had mock elections. And that was a good idea. I wish every high school would do that, because, or mock League of Women, not League of Women Voters, but United Nations. I think there has been some movement to reduce the voting age to 16. I'm thinking about that. It might wake people up. But I think in the times we're living in, it's hard to ignore what's happening in the United States or the world. So, but young people have to be encouraged to keep up with the news, even though it's ugly. We have to know what's happening to us. You know, in Nazi Germany, people went blindly to follow Hitler, and Hitler was elected by the German people and turned into, of course, a horrible tyrant. One of the reasons, you know, a reporter once asked me, did your being Jewish influence your running for office? And he made me think about this. And I lost family in the Holocaust. And I think deep down, I don't think about this every day, but I think I'm privileged to live in a time where I can speak out, at least so far. Hopefully that will continue. But the people who died in the Holocaust couldn't. They were just led to slaughter. So I feel I should use my freedom whenever I have the courage to do so, to speak out.
I think we have time for one more question, if there's one out there. You can't see either. No, I can't see either. Okay.
You can't see anybody. Oh, there's somebody over there.
Oh. Okay, fine. Okay.
Hi, Madeline. It's Evie. You know me. I wanted to ask, who is one of your biggest inspirations?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a hard one to answer. I think, I didn't come from a political family. Nobody in my office, in my position, had been there before. Though I did find out after I left office that a great aunt had been in office in Texas, of all places. But my mother followed Eleanor Roosevelt, and she read her column every day. So Eleanor Roosevelt was the closest to my model, even though she didn't run for office, but she became a person of influence and looked out for the needy and the poor. And then I got models from fiction. You can do that too. But I had an older brother, and he had similar inclinations to me, and we supported each other. And he was in the legislature, but he didn't run for governor, though he might have wanted to. There's a story there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we are going to hear from Dottie Ricks from the League of Women Voters.
Thank you so much, Madeline. We just love you so much. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for having us here. I'm joined today by the president of the Vermont League of Women Voters, Sue Racanelli. Thank you, Sue, for joining us. My name is Dottie Ricks, and I'm a 35-year member of the League of Women Voters, with at least 25 of those years here in the Green Mountain, the great state of Vermont. I currently am the voting rights coordinator for the Vermont League and was the League's point person in the coalition for passing the Reproductive Liberty Act. For over 100 years, the League of, that was a good, yeah. Vermont leading the way again. For over 100 years, the League of Women Voters has been a nonpartisan, grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and to ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. And my talk is about voting rights, because without voting rights, there is no reproductive justice. Without voting rights, there is no freedom. And think on this, the more people that can vote, the stronger the democracy. The League of Women Voters believes that public policy in a pluralistic society must affirm the constitutional right of privacy of the individual to make reproductive choices. Furthermore, every U.S. resident should have access to affordable, doctor-directed, and quality health care, including birth control and access to choice. The League is proud to partner with abortion rights leaders throughout the U.S. to promote everyone's right to bodily autonomy. The restoration of reproductive rights is a central tenet in our national agenda. Deborah Turner of the National League of Women Voters writes the following, which I will share some of with you today. Democracy is a promise. It is the promise we made to ourselves hundreds of years ago as we embarked on this great American experiment. We have not achieved this perfectly, and at times haven't even done it well. But as we grow as a nation, we have worked to more fully enact those ideals until now. Democracy is the promise to be a nation with government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It is a promise that must be reflected in every law that is drafted and in every rule made by our elected representatives. It is also the promise that all voices will be heard and our democratic rights will be respected, not rejected, by those who have power only because we elected them to execute that power. The decision to overturn the constitutional right to abortion broke this promise. The Supreme Court's ruling in this case, Dobbs versus Jackson, is considered wrong by 61% of the U.S. population. This reflects a post-Dobbs growing support for abortion, and the percentages of Americans who believe abortion should be kept legal in all circumstances has hit all-time heights. At the same time, anti-abortion legislation is booming across the nation. It is clear that when it comes to bodily autonomy, many of our current leaders are not aligned with the American people and are not respecting the promise that all voices will be heard. One of the main ways we can ensure the promise of democracy, and I can't emphasize this enough, is by fervently participating in our nation's political processes. Participation ensures our voices are heard, whether at the local, state, or national level. So raising our voices, especially women's voices, through public office and through the power of the vote are essential to both our reproductive rights and to the democracy, our democracy as a whole. Please note that while I focus on people who identify as female because of the data available, my statements also apply to non-binary and transgender people. One way to ensure that the rights of women and those who can become pregnant are better represented is by electing individuals from those communities. Decisions like those in Dobbs are less surprising when you look at who is leading our nation. Currently, only 31% of our statewide elected officials nationwide identify as women. As of August 1, 2023, states with the most restrictive laws around abortion rights and access have a significantly lower percentage of female elected officials, 22.5%, compared with the 31% nationwide. Meanwhile, states with the most protective laws around abortion rights and access have more female elected officials, 38.62% as opposed to 31%. Simply put, statistics tell us that more women in office means more reproductive rights. So we all need to work together to have a stronger voice in our legislative bodies. We can put more women in office by supporting such organizations as the one Madeline talked about. Also, as She Should Run, a nonpartisan nonprofit dedicated to increasing the number of women running for public office, and also by supporting the League and the ACLU, among others. We can increase the volume of our voices through other means, such as what we are celebrating today, through art, advocacy, and storytelling. These mediums expand the view of what an elected official can and should look like, and what they can and should hear and support. Providing a stronger voice may even mean that we run for office ourselves, and it is an exhilarating process. I had the privilege of running for office in Barrytown, a very strong in Barrytown, and Bernie endorsed me, and it was one of the most exhilarating, educating things that have ever happened to me, and I strongly encourage people to not be afraid to go and do that. Not only do we need to increase our participation in publicly elected offices, but we also need to register and get out the vote. Getting women to the polls is crucial in the fight for reproductive rights. Women support abortion abortion rights at a significantly higher rate than men, with 2/3 of women saying that abortion should be legal in most or all cases. Women are also more likely to disapprove of the Dobbs decision. So we must run for office. And thank you, Madeline, for being, such an example for us. We need to elect more female-identified individuals to office, and we must vote. However, we must face the fact that many women, and indeed all of us, still face major voter suppression. This suppression is seen particularly among Black and brown women, women with disabilities, women with limited financial resources, and members of the LGBTQIA+ community. As women, we can change our country with our votes, but for us to do so, we also need to be able to vote and to have access to voting. Currently, voting rights and access are being limited by many efforts, too many to list here. But a few tactics include reduced early voting, reduced voting hours, voter intimidation, and by creating districts that dilute minority votes. Indeed, a presidential executive order just issued illegally further restricts voting. The misleading title of the order is Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections. But this order does not do that at all and is designed to limit voter participation. These efforts are spearheaded by the Department of Homeland Security together with the unelected person currently running our government, Elon Musk and his Doge. The League of Women Voters USA has responded to this anti-voter executive order as a dangerous attempt to silence American voters. It also violates state constitutional authority to run their own elections. So let's see, how can I summarize this? I will say the League is fully prepared to enter in the fight with these young people here. We hope you will join us in ensuring voting rights. We have to commit ourselves to voting, to running for office. You have already shown your colors with the unveiling of this mural. You have given us a vision of the promise of what democracy looks like. This road may be challenging, frightening, overwhelming, but suck it up. Go out into the world and save our democracy. I have faith you can do this. Your vote is your voice. The League has a table set up if any of you would like to register to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. We are about to have intermission. I just have a few announcements before I let you go explore a little bit more. We have an activity in the back, so we invite you to contribute to our memorial by adding to the paper hearts located in the cafe right next to the Vermont table. You can add names of people who have been affected by reproductive injustices, or simply draw on one that already has a name on the back. These hearts will travel with the mural and become part of the memorial. And there's also a guest book on one of the black tables in the cafe room, and we invite you to sign it or leave a little note. In addition, we welcome donations. You can donate with the donation jar or the QR code in the back. Your donations will go to website promotion, future events, educational materials, and fellow activist organizations. That's also true for the t-shirts, the profits from the t-shirts. So it is intermission. We will have a 15-minute intermission. We'll call you all back, and then we'll hear from more speakers. So there you go. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a chance to go to the bathroom or get some snacks and check out the tables back there. Next, we are going to hear from Vermont politician Esther Charleston.
Hi, all. It is good to see you. It is wonderful to be here, honored to be here. Thank you for your work. This is incredible. Yes. Like the legendary phoenix, the immortal bird, we rise from ashes, reborn, renewed, and stronger than before. It is an honor to stand before you today as we unveil this powerful mural. Hand clap again. A testament to these students' resilience, their strength, and unwavering commitment to reproductive justice. I am so proud to be here as a guest, standing alongside all who fight every day to protect our fundamental rights. As mentioned before, reproductive justice is not just a phrase, it is a movement. It is the recognition that every person has the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, to have children, to not have children, let's celebrate that too, and to raise the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. It is about choice. It is about equity. But today we stand in the shadow of yet another attack on our rights. As Governor Madeline Kunin mentioned, these are hard times. These are scary times. President Trump has issued an executive order that takes away the protections President Biden put in place after the Supreme Court's unjust decision to strip away the constitutional rights to abortion. This move is not just a policy change, it is an assault on our freedom, our autonomy, and our ability to control our own futures. And we can't stand for that. And this mural is a representation of those that came before us, and of course the future students who created this. As a mother of two, I know firsthand the joy and the responsibility of raising children in a world that too often feels uncertain. I know what it means to want a future where my children, where all children, can grow with the freedom to make their own choices about their bodies, their future, and their lives. And I refuse, yes, I refuse, like I suspect all of you do as well, to let their futures be dictated by anyone who seek to control our personal decisions. And again, like the phoenix, we emerge from the flames of oppression, from the suffocating weight of these restrictive policies. But I must say, I am grateful for Vermont as we are a leader, as we are a refuge at this time for others, but we want to stay that way. Again, just as the phoenix is reborn in fire, so too is this movement. Unyielding and unstoppable. And this mural is a sign of that. It's a declaration. It speaks to the history of those who, again, as I said, fought before us, to the struggles we continue to face, and to the hope we carry forward. It reminds us that our work is not yet done. Attacks on reproductive rights are attacks on our collective future. And like this mural, we will not be silent. We stand here today to say we continue to rise. We will continue to fight for accessible health care, for safe communities, for policies that protect our rights and our choices. And we will never go back, but only move forward. And we will do it together. So to the students who created this mural, to the community that supported them, to their mentor. Yes, let's clap. We say thank you. And this work is a beacon. Please know that it is a beacon, lighting the way for justice and liberation. So I see this mural as our call to action, and we all have a part in this. Whether you're in the classroom, whether you're a parent, whether you're just in churches or not, talking to your neighbor. We stand for justice. We stand for those who can't make those decisions for themselves, and we support them. And we do that by showing up, just as you did today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. That was amazing. Now, Congresswoman Becca Balint has recorded a video for us that we are going to watch. So.
Hello, I'm so sorry I can't be with you for the Vermont Reproductive Justice Mural opening event. Please know that although I can't be with you in person, I'm definitely with you in spirit. Fighting for reproductive rights has been very important to me throughout my time in elected office. I was proud to partner with leaders in the House and Senate here in Vermont, first when I was majority leader, and then again when I was the first woman president pro tem of the Vermont Senate. And we were able to guarantee reproductive rights to all Vermonters, both in our state laws and in our Constitution. In fact, we were the very first state in the nation to enshrine these rights in our Constitution. And it was incredible to watch Vermonters from across the state come together in this fight. Now, unfortunately, despite our great work here in Vermont, our reproductive rights are not safe. That's because federal law would supersede our state laws if Republicans are able to enact a federal abortion ban. And that's something that they've been hell-bent on doing for decades. They've been clear about that. They are still clear about that. Congressional Republicans and their allies in state houses across the country are out of step with the American people. Americans want the freedom to make decisions about our own bodies, and they want those freedoms guaranteed. Now that I'm in Congress, I am once again helping to lead the fight to protect these rights. I am the lead sponsor of a bill to protect medication abortion. It's called the Stop Comstock Act. No matter how much Trump and other Republicans lie and pretend their views are moderate, their actions tell us everything that we need to know. They have shown us through their legislative actions that they will stop at nothing to enact extreme policies that put our lives at risk. The anti-abortion movement's goal is to ban abortion nationwide. They've been working on this for decades, and overturning Roe v. Wade was the next step in that plan. They don't care how many people get hurt in the process. So now they're trying to end access to FDA-approved mifepristone, which has been proven safe and effective for decades. And 2/3 of all abortions are medication abortions, and they want to force these pills off the market. And in addition to that, they've signaled that they will use, or rather misuse, antiquated laws dating back to the 1800s in a desperate attempt to advance their extreme agenda. So we have to use every tool that we have at our disposal to protect abortion access and birth control options. So the Stop Comstock Act would repeal provisions of the Comstock laws that these anti-abortion extremists want to willfully misapply to criminalize providers and ban abortion nationwide without any congressional action. The people behind Project 2025, which you may have heard of, have been clear that they intend to misuse these old laws and unconstitutional statutes to criminalize providers and impose what they've wanted for decades, which is a national abortion ban. Now, Comstock was part of one man's crusade in the 1870s against what he deemed to be obscene, including information on abortion and contraception. And it's outrageous that Republicans are holding up Anthony Comstock's 150-year-old legislative relic as a pathway to greater restriction on women's bodies. But that's exactly what they're planning, and they literally want to pull us back to the 1800s. Now, I want to be clear. The Comstock laws related to abortion are non-enforceable, outdated relics. In fact, the Department of Justice has issued an opinion that makes that abundantly clear. But the real danger here is that ideologically driven justice and prosecutors could misapply the laws to institute a national abortion ban. So, as you all know, the fall of Roe has been a disaster for women's health across this country. In states with abortion bans, we've seen more delays, denials of care, worsened outcomes, including death and infertility. There are now 14 states with no clinics at all that provide abortion care. Of course, that leads to a complete ban on abortion. To pass the Stop Comstock Act, we need to keep the momentum through public education and mobilization. Most folks have never heard about Anthony Comstock, have never heard about the Comstock laws. And the anti-abortion movement is actually counting on this. They want us to stay quiet about this. So we need to keep talking about it. We need to keep shining a light on threats to reproductive rights. So I want to thank everyone present today for your advocacy and your support of reproductive rights for all. We are in a critical moment. Educating people about this threat is a powerful organizing message. The more people in this country learn the truth about the Comstock laws, the better able we'll be to protect access to reproductive health care for all. I'm proud to be your member of Congress and to be in this fight with all of you. Please, don't lose heart. We are going to fight this with everything that we've got. Have a wonderful event and know that I'm standing right there with you, so shoulder to shoulder.
Thank you, Becca, for recording that video. I have no idea if you're watching or if you're going to see this, but thank you. Now we have Mother Janelle Gayanahawis Bove from the Mohawk Nation of Akwesasne.
Thank you. How's this? Sound good? Yeah. Okay, listen, I got a really nice dress on. I can't be standing behind a podium, okay? Just saying. So yeah, I just like to do a nice little quick circle here and introduce myself. So Gwe Gayanahawis Yungyats Wagate Huni Akwesasne Degidalo. I've expressed to you that my original name is Gayanahawis, which means she's carrying the road. And I've also expressed to you that I belong to the Wolf Clan family. And the Wolf Clan family is responsible of watching the door. And we're also the path makers. So we watch who comes in and who comes out. And so a lot about being a part of that family is we have certain roles and responsibilities. And I think that I'm following through on mine. I also let you know that my home is in Akwesasne, which is land where the partridge drums. And I am Ganyak Gahaga, Mohawk, people of the Flint. And so it tells you a lot about who I am and what earth I come from and what lands, what soils. And I think that that's beautiful. And my government name is Janelle Bove. And I just wanted to really uplift this space and thank you for the tears that have come down my eyes, for Madeline's great humor. I love that lady. Aside from all of her wisdom and also like just the mentorship, the camaraderie, the community. I see you, I love it, I'm cheering you on. And I just want to extend my appreciation and my medicine to the room. I also really wanted to acknowledge the original speaker that was supposed to be here tonight, which is Louise Wagilagutste-Hearn. She is our Bear Clan mother, and she has done an extensive amount of work at keeping our people and our way of life alive, but she's also mentored me for the past 12 years. And so I'm formally incarcerated. I got sentenced to 12.5 years in a maximum security prison, which I fought and I won, and I got New York State to pay for my $30,000 appeal lawyer, and I got out, and I've spent the last 10 years I was supposed to be in prison fighting the system because I don't want my kids to end up there. I don't want these kids, I don't want anybody's kids to end up there. And so what happens was, while I was in prison, I really started to study power, how power is made, how power is created, how power is designed. And so throughout this mentorship in the last decade, and looking at politics and history and being around a visionary and a great school of thought and a beautiful community who has been through the unimaginable. So I want to tell you, there has never been a president that has been in favor of me. I have never seen an election that was in favor of me. I know nothing about that. And I'm still here, and I still show up. And I'm still me, because I didn't let it decide who I was and what my life was going to be about. So there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge that comes from the original people from these lands that is extremely important. Not only have we survived genocide, we've survived long enough, I believe, to remind people of who they were before the institution told you who you were. So mind you, I'm Haudenosaunee, and that means that we have 3 principles: the principles of the good mind, to have peace, to have power. We were a people that have the great law of peace, which would tell you that people of a great peace would not arrive there without knowing great war. We were excellent fighters, excellent, well documented, well published, tradesmen, everything. And so that makes you extremely dangerous, right? And so what I wanted to try and to convey to the room, to educate you a little bit more, and why I travel and show up in the way that I do, is because I know you have been directly denied access to someone like me. You were never supposed to hear from me. I wasn't supposed to live long enough. I wasn't supposed to come out of prison, the rehab, off the res, any of that. There's strategically reasons why they keep us there, and you don't know that we're there. You don't know what we're going through. You don't know how we've managed to survive, because that's their way of creating power. So mind you, we have the original diplomacy to the Eastern Coast. The original diplomacy. That means when the kings and queens of Europe sends over their cartographers, and they say, well, America looks like paradise, and we hear all these great things about it. The kings and queens, they sent over these cartographers, and they said, we want to see what America looks like. We want to know what this paradise looks like, because they're all trying to escape, right? Their oppression, all of this that's happening over there. And so what happens, they come over here, and they draw a painting, and they bring it back there. And you want to know what that painting is? What America is? It's actually an indigenous woman. Imagine that. Standing there in her complete dominion with her bow and her quiver, and all of the natural world is in alignment with her. She's robust, she's fit, she's healthy. America is an indigenous woman. America was also fraudulently took our form of democracy, which was a narrative around consensus, but actually in the form and the ways in which I've learned to see it, is that we learned how to create power through the agreement. You create power by agreeing on one thing. If we can all agree on one thing, we've made power. I don't think there's one person in this room, there better not be actually, that would not agree on these 5 girls right here, would we not? If we all agreed on them right now, like we are, we've instantly given them and made power. you also can create power through division. You can create that kind of power by keeping people divided, by keeping them debated, by keeping them. So oftentimes when people say the United States of America, I say the ununited States of America, because I don't see unity here at all. I don't think I've ever seen it, to be honest with you. So I always say challenge the narrative, because a lot of things like residential schools were concentration camps, but they're coined as a school. So we don't look at it like this place that's mutilating and harming people. And so same with the legal system. The legal lingo is extremely manipulative, which is why a lot of these laws, and they can pick and choose what laws they want to adhere to and what they don't. But the thing with democracy is we didn't have rights as Ungwehue people. We didn't have rights. We had responsibilities. There's a difference in the way that they've mutilated the original diplomacy. And you know what's really neat is our diplomacy comes from the woods. We learned how to organize ourselves by watching the natural world around us. Imagine that. And so I seen a debate one time in 4th grade where we had one of our chiefs got up there and he asked these 4th graders, he says, I want to ask you, who's stronger, a man or a woman? And so those kids debated. Well, the men are stronger. We can build, we can fight, we can do that. The women are stronger. They give birth, they make the babies. And they went back and forth, and then finally, after a few minutes, he said, what does it matter? He said, do you ever see the sun and the moon arguing about who has more power? He says they coincide and they coexist for the greater good of the people. Natural law, the laws of the universe, they're still governing us. Do you know them? Do you know your natural laws? Do you give thanks? So I love that there's land acknowledgements, I do. But there's so much more than that. So our protocols, a way of being, the oldest way of being on this land is to acknowledge the people. You acknowledge the lands, the waters, the medicines, the plants, the four-leggeds, the birds, and you work your way right up through creation, the winds and the seasons and the sun and the moon and the stars, and you go on, you leave nothing out. Nothing, and nobody is left out. That's a great way of being a human being. It's a blueprint to the original person. And I really believe that that's, before anything comes back, we really need to bring back the spirit of the human being. And I just want to say that as somebody who has experienced all kinds of genocidal acts throughout history, I'm going to tell you that when someone is trying to get rid of you and will go to no extent to get rid of you, it really tells you how valuable you are, how dangerous you are to a system that doesn't want you to be there to tell the people anything. And so as a form of resistance and love and representation and great history, beautiful mothers, a lineage, and in our ways our political stature comes from our mother. So in that, in the first United Nations, which is what we are as the Haudenosaunee, we are the, if you can imagine, 5 head mothers with mass families, linking arms, agreeing to not fight each other. We can fight the outside world, but an agreement to not fight each other was just that. And so by that, all of those families became protected. All of those families then had a role and responsibility to one another. And so I'm very fortunate and very lucky to have that to pull from, you know. But I also wanted to share with you, along with my own processes and evolution and growth, I've developed more of my own natural abilities, right? Everyone here, you cannot come to Earth without your own gift to the world. And our job as women was to watch, to see, does she like to cook? What do you like to do? Maybe you like to be in the garden. Maybe you like to watch the kids. Maybe you want to be out on the land, you know? And so we encouraged people's natural abilities. It wasn't about conforming them to be something. And so I really would just love to see people in general be more of who they naturally are, because guess what? The two most powerful frequencies in the world are love and authenticity. So that means that if you show up with love and authenticity, you are extremely dangerous and powerful. And I want that for everyone, because I have it. I'm being myself. I'm still full of love. I'm still a student to life like Madeline, always learning from the young people. And that's what we were told. If we want to know what needs to happen, we ask them. I'm not asking anybody else in it. When people say, who do you work for? I say them. I don't know who else I would want to work for. When someone says, what is your title? I say mother. It is the greatest title I will ever carry. It'll speak to what I've done, what I haven't done. And so why, alongside of rights, why are we not bringing back the prestige and honor of aunt, sister, daughter? Those family ties are what literally breaks down an institutional, mechanical, robotic system. Is when we put the human back into it, it naturally doesn't work because it's not the way it's designed to work. So the more natural somebody becomes, the more they will resist something that's unnatural, right? And that's where I think a lot of the learning comes from and stuff, and the artwork. So your creativity, your ability to vision, like, I think I know this woman, you know? But, and I think we all know her, you know? I think we all know her. And so like you know, I show up all the time trying to bring visibility, justice, homage to the people that I know didn't have the ability to be here and speak either. Because there was a point when this continent had 125 million indigenous people on it, okay? The ununited States is 250 years old. That's it. Canada, 150 years old. In 250 years, you go from 120 million indigenous people. We now have about a population of 5 to 6 million. Where is that documented? Where did 100 and something million indigenous people go? Because there was a lot of mass graves in Canada that were starting to make headlines. And there was about 117 of these concentration camps labeled as schools. They researched only maybe 14 of them and found and unearthed over 10,000 mass graves of indigenous children. They don't want you to know that. They don't want, they're all this truth and reconciliation. We still, so mind you, in Akwesasne, we are very much on an invisible border. And that border goes right through our community. So every day we go against the United States, Canada. They're both interrogating us. They're both criminalizing us. They're both bullying us. And so we have to be political. It's a political warfare there. I grew up in an open air prison that's 10 miles long, 3 miles wide, and has 13 multi-million-dollar law enforcement agencies all fighting over who's going to arrest us first. 13 multi-million-dollar law enforcement agencies for an indigenous community 10 miles long, 3 miles wide. Why would you put that much money into making sure we don't leave and we don't go nowhere? Right? So there's a little bit about a lot, but I wanted to acknowledge Louise. I wanted to acknowledge you beautiful young starlets, because it's so nice to see. Louise would say there's 5 of you, there's the span of a hand. And that woman has taught me so much just by asking me what I think. And I want to say, and I've said this a lot publicly and personally with her, that one thing that I felt was extremely valuable about her mentorship is she would always tell me, don't think like me, think like you. And that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That totally set me on another realm, because she wasn't saying be me, she was saying be you. And then backed me up and protected me and watched me make mistakes and helped me out and asked for my opinion. And now look at me. So I also just wanted to acknowledge my kids. I have 3 children myself, and I talk about, everybody knows them. I talk about them everywhere. They're never with me. They don't come to the events with me no more, but I just like to bring them up because I wouldn't be here without them, and I wouldn't have this prestige and this title without them either. So anyways, I just wanted to say thank you, Kayla, for giving me a warm bed last night and a great meal and snacks and the whole 9. And yeah, I just wanted to sit here and fan your fire, you know, and to say from my house to your house, I send the best medicines around this fireplace. And so I continue to encourage you to do what you're doing. And I definitely plan on coming back to Vermont. It's kind of cool over here. So anyways, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have a song from singer-songwriter Patty Casey.
Thank you. Wow, it is bright. Oh my, I'm not sure how you've been doing this. So I'm not going to speechify other than to say that all of this is an incredibly hard act to follow. And now I'm wishing I had sort of gone earlier. But what an amazing project. And these amazing young women I met sort of in the last week or so, and then last night when I was here, and Kayla, their mentor, I'm just blown away. And I think back to when I was much younger, it took me a lot longer to get the wisdom that these young people have than they already have. So, and I also wanted to acknowledge, Madeline said something really amazing, which was, it starts with anger, and it goes to imagination, and then it goes to action. And I'm going to sing just one song, and it did start with anger in 2017, and I was just so angry at seeing what was happening politically back then, and, you know, never thinking that it would continue. So my anger started there, at least some of it, and my imagination tends to come out musically, and so I had to imagine something other than just being angry, because that was holding me back from doing something more positive with my energy. So my action was to write this song. This is called Stronger Than That. And a few of you may know it, and if you do, I hope you sing robustly. And if you don't, you will hopefully know it fairly soon. There's a chorus that comes around. I'll start with that just to demonstrate, and then you can jump in whenever it comes around. This is on, right? You can hear the guitar? Okay. You can, yeah, right. I can hear it fine. That's all that matters. It's all about me. I also really wish I wore a dress like that. I mean, you stood up and I went, yeah. Anyway. We are stronger than that. We are kinder than that. We are moving forward. We are not going back. We are stronger than that. We are kinder than that. Love is stronger than that. So that'll come around. Jump in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. That was gorgeous. Wow. I'm going to have that stuck in my head for the rest of my life. We have time for a quick Q&A, so I'm going to struggle again to see everybody, but I'll bring around the microphone if you want to ask us questions for either us or the speakers. Yeah.
So we should bring the speakers right up here, right?
Yeah, if you guys want to come up, you can come up, but.
Let's stand.
Yeah.
Are they standing? And they can use their chair.
Anyway.
Oh, okay. Unless the speaker wants to.
Could you turn on the house lights?
Oh, yes, that is brilliant. Thank you. Perfect. That works. Yay. Thank you.
I get to sit.
Can I wear my sunglasses?
Oh, Patty, want to come too?
Okay, totally come up.
What are they going to ask me? What key it's
I'm just wondering about this beautiful mural, if it's going to travel or stay here, or just wondering what happens with it.
Who wants to answer that?
So we're hoping to have the mural travel around the state and in different venues, whoever will host us and whoever has a big enough space. Currently, we're in communication with Center for Arts and Learning, so hopefully that works out.
Also, there's a sheet if you have ideas, or like tell us or email us if you have ideas for places for it to go.
12-foot ceiling.
It can be 10 feet. It can be 10 feet because we can fold the bottom. Yeah.
I was just going to add some ideas of places we would like it to be is libraries, hospitals and clinics, welcome centers. We also hope to get it in the State House at some point, and we would love to take it with us to schools around the state as well to continue this education.
I've got a question for the older women and the elders here amongst us. If you had an opportunity to, with your life experience, speak to your 17, 18-year-old self about your reproductive health and body and being a woman in this society, what would you tell her now?
What would I tell my younger self? I don't know if it's what I would tell myself. I think I feel more of like at a disadvantage of just not knowing, not having access to know. Nobody talking to me, nobody explaining anything. There was just nothingness around it. And so it's kind of hard to say, like, what would I say, because there was nothing even to compare it to, kind of like, you know? So I guess just the absence of the conversation, the visibility, the shame. The shame is actually, yeah, I'll put in a little bit of a name and emotion to it. There was a lot of shame around being a woman. And having sexual energy, expression, identity, all of that. And yeah, I would say that's not your shame to carry, Janelle. Thank you for the question.
I want to second that because I also had a lot of shame. a lot of nothingness. We didn't talk about it. You weren't empowered. I grew up conservative Christian, so moving to Vermont was my declaration of, no, I'm not. No, I'm not taking that. And so I love it here, where I can express. But yeah, I had no idea, and so much shame, especially around sexual energy. Like, no, you're not supposed to. And so I would tell her that I would empower her. I would tell her, girl, you all right. You all right. You want to have sex? That's okay. Be safe. You know what I mean? Like, it's be safe. Know what you're getting into. And the way I'm channeling that energy is the way I'm raising my children. My daughter, to know that it is okay, be safe. And my son, you better ask somebody before you do anything. You too, Brielle, I love you.
What I would say to her is, someday you're going to know where your uterus is, where it is in your body, and it will change your life.
We have time for probably one or two more questions, so.
Looks like we can go to the cafe.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. Quickly, just before we end, thank you so much. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I have a question. What do you feel like is the most beautiful or amazing part of yourself and your identity?
That's a lovely question. I guess my voice. And I don't just mean singing, but learning what my voice actually is and what I have to say.
What is yours? I would say my hair. I was like, man, I'm trying to say something deep, but there's nothing deep coming. I love my hair, and that was such a journey of my identity to like not conform, because I used to put a relaxer, which is chemicals that are dangerous, and just trying to conform to be like white people. You know, straight hair, I'll be more accepted, more professional, I should say. That's the term, more professional. But then I embraced, no, I'm going to love my hair. And in doing that, I am teaching my daughter to love her hair, and us getting our hair done together, and just empowering to be ourselves and authentic.
So I would say that I love my sense of humor. Like, oh my God, like the things that go on in my head sometimes and the situations I've been in, it's just, I truly hope that I can contain that for like forever, because I truly feel like it's what helps you survive the worst things, is just being able to laugh at some point is just everything. So yeah, I'm really funny if you didn't know that.
I think I would say that I love getting older. I like being an older woman. This is awesome. This is a great time in life. Best time. I get to be with these amazing young people. It's been remarkable to share with you. So yes.
All of you. Okay. Okay, well, now I didn't think about it, so I'm going to pass it off to someone else.
My determination to speak up.
Oh, wow, I can. I'd say I like to write and think of stories, and I think that just passion for storytelling and like a way to comfort myself, but also a way to like share myself and share my ideas with other people, and it's a great like conversation thing, like not like talking, but like actual people conversing from their inside to their, yeah, like, I don't know. I think that, yeah, storytelling.
I mean, I love my art and creativity and what I can explore through that, and then also just my sense of self.
Similar to Ella, probably art is a big part of my life, and also my sense of justice.
Okay, thank you for filling that time for me, giving me time to think. I would say my imagination and my ability to dream. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to throw in a little ringer at the end here. No extra fee for this or anything. I'm playing. But I just wanted to share a song with you to kind of close up the energy of the day. And so I'm going to sing to you Gayeli Niongwedege. And I ask that the four sacred beings, they all look over you. They all look after your families. Maybe some of you are traveling. Obviously, we're not home, so someone's not watching the kids. So we ask that, everybody gets taken care of. And I love this. I love our songs and the free, because it's like, it's everyone, nobody's left out. It's not just, it's for all of us. So. Kaeli Niongwedage awanduga asquayana waze zeyadanuna nea kwajile awanduga asquayana waze Yoho Hana Yoho Eahe Yoho Hana Yoho Eahe Yoha Yoho Yoha Yoho Hana Yoho Eahe Yoho Hana Yoho Eahe Kaeli Niongwedage Owanduga Asquayana waze Zeyadanuna Nea Kwajile Owanduga Asquayana waze. Hey. No.
Well, okay, that is all we have time for. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. We would like to thank, once again, our donors and everyone who has supported us in this process. We could not have done it without you, and especially Orca Media for live streaming this and allowing so many more people to watch it. Quickly, we would like to invite all the volunteers up. I don't know where you are, but and just give them a quick round of applause. Thank you. You guys were a huge help today, and we could not have done nearly as much as we did without you. Okay, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It was such an honor to be able to present this history with you, and we hope you all get home safely. And if you would like to check out the tables in the back, quickly you can do that. However, it is 4:26. So